Welcome back to the fourth episode of Sitecore Unplugged. Today, I have my awesome co-host Jason St-Cyr here with us.
Hey, everybody.
And we have a very special guest, which most of the Sitecore community is already very familiar with, Tamas Varga, Director of Community Programs at Sitecore. And I feel like your title doesn't really give you credit for everything you do within the Sitecore community, because you do much more than just, manage programs. So he's the driving force behind everything that makes the Sitecore community thrive, so unique and just simply amazing. And Tamas, even though I'm sure that everyone in the community already knows you, I would like you to please introduce yourself to the community.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tamas Varga, and I was born and raised in Hungary, and I still live here. I joined the Sitecore community back in 2006 and started to work for a Sitecore partner for 10 years. And 7 years ago, I joined Sitecore and helping the technical marketing team with some advocacy, and later on managing the MVP program and everything what we do around community.
Okay, thank you so much for that intro, Tamas. So how did you get involved with Sitecore, and what has your journey been like with the platform?
So as I mentioned, I started my Sitecore journey back in 2006, worked for a partner, and that journey really started in a way that we really wanted to select the best .NET-based or Microsoft-based CMS in the world. And we had a 3-month project where we looked all the different CMSs around the globe, and we evaluated for different criteria. We ended up with 3 CMSs, and the top 3 things what we looked at how it fits or how it works for developers. Being a developer myself, at that time it was really important that the developers get a platform which is based on standards and supporting the latest technology, and Sitecore really ticked that box. So the second most important thing was that it also fits for our customers, a platform which has all the features needed and also have a roadmap for long term, so they can rely on the platform. And the third one, working for a small agency in Hungary, was really important that the company we work with see us as a partner, not just someone selling licenses. And Sitecore really majored in all these 3 areas. So this is how I started my journey. After that, went to my first Sitecore training in London. And a couple of years later, I became myself a Sitecore instructor. So I was doing trainings in India, in Italy, all over Europe. And, during these years, we started to implement solutions in Hungary and Central and Eastern Europe. And later on, when the agency joined a network, we started to do projects all over the globe, from Seattle to Singapore.
Wow,
Also,
like so many places. Like you've been everywhere, and you've had all these different roles. So, you've been a developer. You've been a Sitecore trainer. You were a technical evangelist at one point. I think you've done some business analyst type of stuff as well, like all kinds of different roles, right, in your career. But for the last long while, you have been very focused on community and community management and that type of stuff. What is it about that particular role that's keeping you interested over this length of time that you've been able to really get into it?
Oh yes, and I think that's also the question why I do this job after 17 years and why I'm with the community. And I think when I did the interviews myself, my podcast in the past with the MVPs, the answer was always people, and how we work together and how this community is so tight. And really, this is what I also experienced back in the day. In 2010, I became Sitecore MVP, and I was Sitecore MVP up until I joined Sitecore. And really, the community and the MVPs in general are so supportive. This is really a really special group of people who we work with, whether we are competitors or we are supporting each other from different sides. I couldn't do my job if that support and that community wouldn't be there. So really, that's I think the major thing here.
Yeah, it seems to come up a lot, right? People is something that no matter what we get into, we can always do something where we get more passionate about it when the people that we're working around with it make us engaged in it. I mean, we want to connect with them more, and it becomes a much more engaging experience when we're doing something that seems like it matters to somebody else, and that kind of, at least for me, I know it gives me a lot of energy doing that. Now you've now had this community role a while, so you've been able to see kind of what's going on in the industry. You've been able to see what's going on in our community and sometimes with others as well. So what do you think right now in 2023 and 2024? What's the next big challenge? What are community teams needing to focus on right now?
I would say the biggest challenge is that we need to figure out how we combine the virtual or the online world with the meetings and conferences we have. We have to find a balance between those. There are webinars and online conferences every day of the week, and so we have to offer something to our community which is really helpful and useful for them to learn and grow. But also we should give them the opportunity to meet once in a while, once a year at the different user group conferences or the user groups locally, and how we can find that balance which is good for the community and good for the company.
Yeah, and one more thing I would add to that as well, maybe not a challenge, but an opportunity too, is that it's important to ensure that we're creating a community that is inclusive, and that can be challenging at times. And the Sitecore community has people from all over the world, so it's important that we ensure that everyone's voice, is heard and respected. So that can be a challenge sometimes, not just where they're based out of in the world, but everything else that means inclusivity. So that's something else I would add to that. So following the topic of the Sitecore community, for those that are new to the Sitecore community, it can sometimes, if you're new, be intimidating if you don't already know the community, because we know they're rock stars and they're amazing. So what are some practical tips for getting involved, connecting with others, or building relationships within the community? How, if someone's new to the community, what are some suggestions, Tamas? Because you know the community well, and you know how one could start getting involved and connecting with others.
I would say start with the different online channels. We support the community portal. We have a forum. You can see that people are supporting each other. There is the community Slack chat, which is managed by the community. You can join 10,000 people already there. Again, in more than 50 channels, you can ask any kind of question, and individuals from the different part of the world. Again, even if you are working for competitors, they will get there and help you and support you. So look at these channels. It may be at the beginning, just if you just listen it or just to watch what's going on, you will see that this community is really supportive. You start asking questions. You might go to different channels like the Stack Exchange or the Telegram channel or the Discord channel. The Sitecore community is all over the place. So you can find these people everywhere. You can talk about Sitecore related things. You can talk about more personal things. Some people talk about gaming and movies, and you will see those faces and see those names. And maybe one day you will have a chance to go to your local user group, and after that join one of the user group conferences. This year we had 4 user group conferences: one in Europe, one in India, one in North America. And the next one is coming up in Australia soon. So all these ways are just really helping you to get to know the community and feel supported.
Yeah, definitely. There's tons of ways that one can connect, whether it's, online or offline. And even though it can, like I said, feel intimidating at the beginning, because the Sitecore community is big, you have people from all over the world. It's super friendly. And once you connect with one individual, it's easy from there. So, aside from managing the community, and you touched on this, SUGCONs, you also organize SUGCONs. So would you share some insights into the history of SUGCONs? How did it all start? How many have there been up to date? I'm not asking you for a specific number, but if you know it, even better. And what are the upcoming SUGCONs that we have coming up?
Oh, yes. So the user groups are really the meetups where people get together locally in a city or in a country, and they share their passion about Sitecore, share their knowledge and experience with others. A couple of talks, usually in the afternoons or after work, people get together, have a beer and pizza, and talk about Sitecore. And a couple of these user groups in Europe back in 2014, thought that, like, why don't we do something bigger than just an afternoon? Why don't we get together for a day and have more sessions and people coming from different parts of Europe, and we can have something there. So it started like that. We had a conference in Benelux, and then after that there was a Nordic conference, and from there it really started, and started in Europe. And also we had in 2015 one in North America. And again, from there grew. And actually, we had the 18th conference in Minneapolis a couple of weeks ago. And the next one is coming up in Brisbane soon. And the 20th in Europe will be, I cannot tell you, but in spring next year. So we're already planning it. We have a venue selected, and we are working with the organizing committee. And the 20th user group conference coming to Europe, spring 24.
Amazing. 20 SUGCONs. That's a lot. And this year has been super busy for SUGCONs, as we both know. So what is it that you enjoy most about, being part of SUGCONs, and why do you feel they're so important to the community or just the Sitecore ecosystem in general?
As I mentioned, we try to find a balance between being online and digital and meeting in person, because, we are human beings and we need that human connection. And when it also can be intimidating when you go to a conference and many people who just met online, jumping into each other's neck and really welcoming each other as the closest friend they know for ages and they might never met. And these conferences really gives us a chance to have that human connection and also to shed the lights, what's behind the whole community, and also really to make sure that these individuals are real. These individuals are not just avatars or just handles. And I think that's really something what is bonding this community more than anything, and that's why we are supporting these conferences.
Yeah, and with our world being more and more virtual, which is great. It is so important to have these conferences where people come together, you connect as real individuals, and yeah, it's totally different. And the energy at SUGCONs, the passion that the community has, I don't know, I come back way more energized from these conferences, and I love meeting people for the first time that I've connected with for maybe a year or two online. It's an awesome experience. So if you have not attended a SUGCON, you should definitely attend. And we, like you said, we have the one coming up in Brisbane, November 23rd and 24th. And then stay tuned for SUGCON Europe, because that's going to be a fun one too. So Tamas, finally here, what is your message to the Sitecore community?
I was thinking about that a lot, and really I would say just like keep doing what you have done in the past 20 years. Be supportive and be welcoming for the new ones, because that's again something what we cannot replicate in any other way. Like if we are not welcoming and we are not supportive, this community wouldn't be here. And I think if we just keep doing that, and as you mentioned, that also keeping in mind inclusion and being as diverse as possible, I think that's the goal what we need to aim for.
Perfect. Great message. Well, Tamas, thank you so much for carving out some time from your busy schedule to sit down with Jason and I on this podcast. And, thank you for sharing your story. It was an insightful conversation. We definitely will be inviting you again, because we know that there's way more questions we could be asking you. You don't just organize SUGCONs and manage a community. There's much more that you do, including the MVP program and way more other things. So we're definitely going to have you back on. So thank you again, Jason, for being the co-host here, and Tamas for joining today. And we will see you next time.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers all.